do you have a library of information, data like that of cases to research or to read?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So there was a time in my practice where I would just read everything I could get my hands on in the EB1A space. And what I did at one point was that I pulled down every sports related AAO decision for the last 3 or 4 years at that point and read every single one. And just figured out like what the trends were, right? And that has been one of the bases for my conclusion that you never, ever, ever appeal anything to the AAO, right?
Yeah.
But it kind of gives you insight into kind of their mindset,
Definitely.
right? So that was definitely valuable. But in terms of like a library of things that we actually use, there are a few tools that we use in the office. So one of them is that I have a binder with federal cases, so federal district court cases in extraordinary ability. So, you know, obviously only a handful of them have anything to do with sports, but, you know, the issues that are raised can certainly be applicable in the sports context as well. And so, you know, helpful precedents from federal district courts are things that we will often cite to in our RFE responses. And, you know, if it goes there, potentially, and if it's applicable precedent in federal court. So so those are definitely things that I, you know, have my associate read, and hopefully as she kind of reads them over and over again, she will get to the point to where she sees language in the RFE and that immediately triggers, oh, that I need to look at ZZV Cuccinelli for that one, you know, and immediately pull that. Now, James Betzel, do you know him? He's
Sure.
the founder of Prima Facie.
Yeah.
He had a really cool tool that he was sharing in the group for federal litigation practitioners, where basically it was kind of like AI driven, well, not necessarily even AI driven. It was kind of like a really fancy spreadsheet. And I'm really terrible with Excel, so I would never be able to create this on my own. So I have kind of a manual version of this, but it's kind of a if this then that library is the way that I would think about it, right? So basically it has kind of triggers. If the government argues this, then you cite that, and it's like searchable, and it had all these really cool features. And so what we have is roughly that. It kind of resides in a you know, a folder of different precedents and things that I've used in the past. And you know, and we have an RFP document that kind of has some helpful language that we dump in for things that we see over and over again. But certainly I think that the more tech savvy people are really good at taking that information and synthesizing that in the way that James has. And I think, you know, having that if this then that tool in my context would be really, really helpful to the practice.
Yeah, for me too. Like I'll read cases that come up and I'll save it, and then I'll forget where I saved it, or I'll make a folder and I know where that folder is. I'm so bad at managing because there's so much good content and ways not to
Right.
on it. But I just organize it really badly.